6:45, this is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Danushka Madhavala, read by Soundithavam. Early landslide warnings issued for 9 districts. A red alert for major floods in low-lying areas of the Nilvala River. 3,000 rupee shoe voucher will be issued for over 800,000 students. The Malaysian Foreign Minister to visit Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka to assume chairmanship of the IORA next week at the Council of Ministers meeting in Colombo. It is mandatory to exhibit the prices of all coconut oil products. In foreign news, world breaches key 1.5 degrees Celsius warming mark for record number of days. In sports, Sri Lanka's first match in the 2023 World Cup will be played in Delhi against South Africa today. Early landslide warnings have been issued by the National Building and Research Organisation for multiple areas in 9 districts as heavy rainfall continues. Accordingly, an amber warning has been issued for several areas in Galle, Kalutara, Matara and Ratnapura. Meanwhile, a yellow warning was issued for several areas in Colombo, Galle, Gampaha and Hambantota. Meanwhile, the Irrigation Department has issued a red warning for low-lying areas of the Nilvala River Valley due to the possibility of a major flood. The Director General of Irrigation, Ajit Gunasekara, said there is a high risk of flood, protection bunds overtopping at some locations as the river is already at a considerably high flood level. Additionally, disaster management authorities and the district divisional administrations have been advised to take necessary precautions. Over 800,000 school students from families with economic difficulties will be issued vouchers to buy shoes by the Education Ministry. The Education Minister, Dr. Sunil Premajantha, said 3,000 rupee voucher will be awarded to 800,000 school students within a 3-week period. The minister also said that this allowance will be offered to children with economic difficulties. It is planned to further increase the amount of vouchers in 2024. The minister said that from 2024, several key transformational changes in the education sector will be implemented. Of these changes, the administrative changes will be firstly introduced and curriculum development will also be prioritized. In view of these new activities, it is mandatory for students to come to school daily and stay in the classroom to engage in modular activities. Under this move, exams in primary classes should be reduced as much as possible. Pre-childhood teaching will be streamlined and graduate-trained teachers will be recruited as primary teachers. He also said that he expects to improve the quality of primary education, aiming to reduce the burden faced by primary students. The Ministers of Foreign Affairs of the Indian Ocean Rim Association, as well as other senior ministers of the IORA member states and dialogue partners, will arrive in Sri Lanka next week for the 23rd Indian Ocean Rim Association Council of Ministers, which Sri Lanka is hosting on 11th October 2023 in Colombo. The Council of Ministers meeting in Colombo will see the participation of 16 ministers, including the foreign ministers of Bangladesh, India, Iran, Mauritius, Malaysia and South Africa, as well as ministerial and senior-level participation from Australia, Comoros, France, Indonesia, Kenya, Madagascar, Maldives, Mozambique, Oman, Seychelles, Singapore, Sri Lanka, Somalia, Tanzania, Thailand, the United Arab Emirates and Yemen, and from China, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Germany, Italy, Japan, the Republic of Korea, the Russian Federation, Turkey, United Kingdom and the United States of America. The Council of Ministers is the highest decision-making body of the Indian Ocean Rim Association. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The Minister of Trade, Nalin Fernandez, said that it is mandatory to exhibit the prices of all coconut oil products. The minister said stern action will be taken against those who do not show the prices of these products. The minister also mentioned about the complaints received with regard to the inclusion of amphitoxin substance in some coconut oil products. This will be checked by the CAA authorities during the routine checks, the minister added. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Malaysia will undertake an official visit to Sri Lanka from the 8th to the 12th of October 2023. During the visit, the Malaysian Foreign Minister is scheduled to have bilateral discussions with the Minister of Foreign Affairs Ali Sabri at the Foreign Ministry and pay courtesy calls on President Ranil Wickremesinghe and Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Malaysia will be accompanied by the Under-Secretary of the South and Central Asia Division, the Under-Secretary of the OIC and Regional Cooperation Division, and the Special Officer to the Foreign Minister of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Malaysia. That concludes local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
The State Minister of Defence, Premita Bandara Tennakon, has directed the authorities to take immediate action to remove roadside trees at risk of falling. The State Minister instructed the officials of the Disaster Management Centre and the NBRO to coordinate with the Environmental Authority, Road Development Authority and the local authority bodies and carry out an immediate study of large roadside trees at risk of falling due to the prevailing wet conditions and to remove any which may pose a threat to the public. That came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
On to Watchlight, the health experts have told a parliamentary special committee that 3 times the money earned by the government from cigarettes and alcohol is spent on the treatment of drug addicts. This was taken up for discussion at the Select Committee of Parliament to look into and identify the mechanisms to be implemented in order to immediately control and eradicate the rapidly spreading drug menace in the country and to submit observations and recommendations to Parliament in this regard, recently chaired by the Minister of Public Security, Tiran Alas. That came to in Watchlight, onto a bulletin of world news. Making headlines, the world breaches key 1.5 degrees Celsius warming mark for record number of days. Talks after US fighter jet shoots down armed Turkish drone in Syria. Iranian woman Narges Mohammadi jailed for rights work wins Nobel Peace Prize. The world is breaching a key warming threshold at a rate that has scientists concerned. A BBC analysis has found that on about a third of days in 2023, the average global temperature was at least 1.5 degrees Celsius higher than pre-industrial levels. Staying below that marker long-term is widely considered crucial to avoid the most damaging impacts of climate change. But 2023 is on track to be the hottest year on record, and 2024 could be hotter. This latest finding comes after record September temperatures and a summer of extreme weather events across much of the world. When political leaders gathered in Paris in December 2015, they signed an agreement to keep the long-term rise in global temperatures this century well below 2 degrees Celsius and to make every effort to keep it under 1.5 degrees Celsius. The agreed limits refer to the difference between global average temperatures now and what they were in pre-industrial period between 1850 and 1900 before the widespread use of fossil fuels. Breaching these Paris thresholds doesn't mean going over them for a day or a week, but instead involves going beyond them and this limit across a 20 or 30-year average. The top US and Turkish diplomats have spoken by phone after US forces in Syria shot down an armed Turkish drone. Washington said the drone came too close to its ground forces in Syria, but Ankara merely said it was lost during operations. During the call between the NATO allies, Hakan Fidan told the US Turkey would keep targeting Kurdish groups. The US works with Kurdish YPG forces in Syria, but Turkey views them as separatists and terrorists. Imprisoned Iranian human rights activist Narges Mohammadi has won the 2023 Nobel Peace Prize. Accordingly, the Norwegian Nobel Committee said Mrs. Mohammadi, 51, was honored for her fight against the oppression of women in Iran. Committee chairwoman Berit Rees Anderson said her struggle has come at a tremendous personal cost. Mrs. Mohammadi is currently serving a 10-year jail term in Iran's notorious Evin prison in the capital. Iran's foreign ministry said the award was based and in line with the interventionist and the anti-Iran policies of some European countries. Back to the headlines of the world news. The world breaches key 1.5 degrees Celsius warming mark for record number of days. Talks after US fighter jet shoots down armed Turkish drone in Syria. And Iranian woman Narges Mohammadi jailed for rights work wins Nobel Peace Prize. That concludes this bulletin of world news.
Development News.
Both workers' remittances and earnings from tourism recorded notable improvements in August 2023 compared to the previous year. Workers' remittances amounted to $499 million in August 2023 in comparison to the $325 million in August 2022 and $541 million in July 2023. Meanwhile, based on the provincial data, departures for foreign employment in August 2023 and during January to August 2023 amounted to 26,131 and 197,146 in comparison to the departures of 311,056 recorded in 2022. That's development news. And moving on to sports. Sri Lanka's first match in the 2023 World Cup will be played against South Africa today. The match will be played at 2:15 p.m. in Delhi. Sri Lanka's cricket team faces a significant challenge as Mahesh Theekshana will miss the match as he is not yet fully recovered. Sri Lanka coach Chris Silverwood told reporters that Mahesh Theekshana is not available for the South Africa game, but Kusal Janith and Dasun Shanaka are fully fit for the match. That's sports news. Business news up next.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The Finance State Minister Ranjit Siamalapitiya said that it is expected that the country's economy will reach a growth of 1.7% next year, and the government will present a challenging budget for next year, balancing the three main factors of welfare, security and development. He was speaking at a meeting held in Dehiovita yesterday. The Finance State Minister said that the statement made by the World Bank economic expert Richard Walker that Sri Lanka's economy is showing positive signs of stability and recovery is very important for all those who think about the development of the country. That's business news, economic news up next.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
On to economic news. The Ministry of Technology has scheduled the implementation of a program aimed at accelerating the digital economic transformation following the vision of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. The program will be started from the 11th of October. This marks the first collaborative effort between the government and the private sector to execute a digital economy plan in Sri Lanka. The State Minister of Technology Kanaka Herath emphasized that the policies developed thus far in the realm of digital economies have the potential to significantly bolster Sri Lanka's economy. That's economic news.
Weather report.
Showers or thundershowers will occur at times in the western, Sabragama, southern and northwestern provinces, also in Kandy and Nuwara area. Fairly heavy showers above 75 millimeters is to be expected at some places in the western, Sabragama and southern provinces. Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in the eastern and Uva provinces and also in Polonnaruwa, Matale and the Mullaitivu districts during the evening or night. To conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. Early landslide warnings issued for 9 districts. A red alert for major floods in the low-lying areas of the Nilvala River. A 3,000 rupee shoe voucher will be issued for over 800,000 students. The Malaysian Foreign Minister to visit Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka to assume chairmanship of the IORA next week at the Council of Ministers meeting in Colombo. It is mandatory to exhibit the prices of all coconut oil products. The world breaches key 1.5 degrees Celsius warming mark for record number of days. Sri Lanka's first match in the 2023 World Cup will be played against South Africa today in Delhi. That concludes this bulletin of news, and now it's back to your host, Across the Glass Spain, to keep you well entertained this Saturday morning. Well, a very good morning to you, Sanal. It's all yours. to bring in warmth and sunshine through music on a very wet Saturday morning. Back to you.